Spring. Spring Dance. "There isn't much dignity in the forest in spring," said Winston the gnome as he sat atop a large mushroom beside his brother Grinston. "Nope," said Grinston, frowning as two birds flew by in a flash of bright feathers. "Saw those two feather-brained fools in the meadow doing the most ridiculous dance I ever saw. Heads bobbing everywhere, preening and fluffing their feathers. Meanwhile, the ladybirds just sat on a branch, watching and tweeting." "Silliness," said Grinston. "Agreed," said Winston. After a few moments had passed, Winston fished a small mirror out of his pocket and began to meticulously groom his beard, which grew to a well-manicured point at his chin. Grinston did the same. The two gnomes rested in silence for a short while, and soon began to snore. A great crashing sound awakened them with a snorting start. In the clearing, two rams stood facing each other, pawing the ground. They ran toward each other, slamming their heads together with a mighty crack. Winston grimaced. "Look at those fools. All of that effort to impress the ewes, and they're barely even paying attention." He motioned to where the ewes stood on the sideline, munching on grass while the rams competed for their favor. The younger of the two rams reared up on his hind legs and charged again, but the older ram easily brushed him to the side. "Harebrained beasts. They'll crack their heads open in their ridiculous display." Grinston shook his head disapprovingly. "Silliness," said Winston. "Agreed," said Grinston, with a harumph. The two gnomes squinted up to take a look at the sun. It was getting quite late in the afternoon, and the brothers had been waiting for quite a long while. "Do you think she's run into trouble?" Grinston asked. Winston frowned. "It's well past 4, and I thought we were to meet Griselda and Winona here at these mushrooms at 3. The brothers stood up and stretched, jogging in place for a brief moment to wake themselves up. Just then, they heard a slight rustling and a soft giggle from the shrubbery to their right. "It's the ladies. They're here. Quick, Grinston, does my new yellow vest make me look like an affluent gnome in his prime?" Grinston nodded. "Of course, brother. And what of my green vest?" Winston agreed. "Like the green of spring's first leaves." Griselda and Winona arrived to meet their dates for the Gnomish Daffodil Festival, dressed in yellow and green skirts with matching vests and blouses. "Why, you look like daffodils yourselves, ladies," Winston complimented them with a smile. "Yes, lovely spring flowers, daffodils," said Grinston. Griselda smiled at Grinston. "I must say, dear fellow, that your beard is resplendent this fine day, and the way your green vest looks just like a new leaf." She blushed prettily and leaned in to kiss his cheek. The gnomes linked arms and walked toward the festival, laughing and talking all the way. Winona planted a kiss on Winston's cheek and exclaimed that his yellow vest brought to mind the loveliest of the daffodils the forest had to offer. Linking arms, they followed the other gnomish couple toward the lights of the festival. When the gnomes had gone, a rumpled, fluffy-feathered bird landed atop Winston's mushroom, and another alighted on Grinston's. The first bird shook his feathers and made a birdie grimace of disgust. "There really isn't much dignity in the forest in spring," he said to the other bird, who nodded in agreement. "Nope. Man, I'm exhausted from all that dancing. I'm not even sure the ladybirds even noticed me out there." The first bird shook his head. "It could be worse. At least we don't have beards."